Hey everyone, exciting news. We've officially launched the Paranoid Perspective Patreon. If you love what we do, unpacking conspiracies, chasing mysteries, and laughing through the weirdness, now you can support the show and get more of it.
So, for as little as $5 a month, you will get exclusive access and extra perks to the episode. Sarah, what do we get with Tier 1?
So, Tier 1 is the Curious Minds, and you get a shout out at the end of every episode.
Next tier, this is what you guys really probably want. Ad-free episodes. We don't need those pesky ads that you guys are getting on Spotify, Apple, whatever else. You will get all episodes ad-free along with what else, Sarah?
You'll also get it ahead of time. So before the episode releases for that week, it'll be available for you to watch or listen.
So if you guys are interested, check in the show notes down below, or you can head to patreon.com/the Paranoid Perspective Podcast. Welcome back to the Paranoid Perspective. I'm Jake.
And I'm Sarah.
Sarah, we were just talking about this. I don't know anything about this, and you're kind of flabbergasted about it, but I'm just being real.
Well, that's good for the episode. So
It is
you
good.
can be shocked all over again.
I will be shocked for the first time.
Right.
But
yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong. I did a minimal amount of research, pretty much typed in it to Google. This happened in fucking Moscow?
Idaho.
I'm just kidding.
Yes.
I know. Yeah.
Moscow, Idaho. Yeah, sometimes when I see Moscow, I'm like, what?
Yeah. Well, that's the first thing I saw when it happened. It's like, and obviously I was just skimming through stuff and I was like, what the fuck is like, how would she expect me to know about murders that happened in Russia? Like that was my first, I know, right? I'm just not paying attention.
National news.
Yeah. International news.
Yeah, international. Well, this probably was covered internationally, but
No, probably.
I'm sure.
But
yeah.
Listeners, I'm sure you guys can guess based off of Idaho and whatever, you might be able to assume. We are talking about the Idaho 4 today. And I'm not talking about it because I don't know anything about it. So.
Yes, I'm talking about it.
Take us away, Sarah.
So I guess it's like informally known as the Idaho 4, but it's like the Idaho college murders. I guess this is the only murder that's ever happened in Idaho. I don't know. For college.
Well, nothing exciting happens in Idaho besides growing potatoes,
No.
so it makes sense.
Yeah. So this happened in off-campus student housing, or it was like a house where students lived. So there were 5 roommates, all women. Madison, which she went by Maddie Mogan, Haley Goncalves, Anna Kernodle, Dylan Mortensen, and Bethany Funk. So they lived together. And Dylan is a woman because every time I read it, I'm like, wait a second, but they're all women. So they lived in 1122 King Road, like the house for there. They were all probably like 19 to 21, so typical college age. Yeah. Kaylee's dog also lived there, which was a golden doodle named Murphy. So sometimes people talk about Murphy, but it was the dog.
Well, I'm sure it was the best dog.
Yeah. And then Xana's boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, also was frequently at the house, which they had been dating since like spring. So Kaylee was a senior majoring in general studies, and she was expected to graduate in December 2022. And she was actually in the process of moving to Austin, and she got a job at a marketing firm. So there are reports that she had already moved out of her room, and like they just hadn't really found a roommate yet to fill her spot. So like she would come visit and stuff, but she'd usually stay in Maddie's room when she would visit because she didn't really have anything in the other room, like sleep and stuff.
Right.
But Maddie had been best friends with Kaylee since the 6th grade, so a very long time. And Maddie was studying marketing, and she planned to move to Boise once she graduated. And then Xana was a junior major in marketing as well. And then her boyfriend Ethan was a major in recreation, sport, and tourism management.
Okay. So I'm seeing all of these are like based around pretty similar,
Marketing, yeah.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what Bethany and Dylan majored in, but I assume similar vein. And then this house was like kind of weird. Well, I could share my screen actually
We're
first.
getting off to it right away. Let's share it.
Yeah, just there was a picture of the six of them together. So that's kind of the last picture they all took together. So you can kind of see the group. I think this is Kaylee, and then on top of her is Maddie. Then Ethan, of course, the only guy, and then Xana and Dylan's on the left, and I think Bethany's on the right.
So this
That was
is their
kind of their
house.
last group
I'm
shot.
assuming like their porch, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, yeah, because it looks like a corridor or like a hallway, but without
Right.
like that is
But
odd.
there's like a covered, yeah. And then the way the room was actually, so Bethany was on the first floor, which that kind of freaked me out, but I guess that's fine. She was on the first floor alone. And the second floor was Dylan and then Xana. And then the third floor was Kaylee and Maddie. Like Murphy was in the other room, I guess, where Kaylee's room used to be. But that's kind of how the house was set up. So it's kind of three levels.
Okay, it's a lot bigger than I was
And then the,
expecting. But I mean, I guess if five people are
yeah,
living there, that makes sense.
right. Yeah. Yeah. So November 12th, 2022, Kaylee was visiting there and she wanted to show Maddie her new Range Rover that she had just bought, I guess. So her and Maddie went to a nearby sports bar called the Corner Club around 10 p.m. And then Xana and Ethan were at Ethan's fraternity party, which was like literally right next to their other house. Like
Okay, yeah, I
you
was
could
gonna say.
see their house from the frat house. So they were partying there. I assume it was like a Saturday, I guess. I didn't look up what day it was actually of the
Well, here
week, but
let's do this real quick. What was the date again?
yeah, live uh research, November 12th, 2022.
November 12th, 2022 was a Saturday. Look at you, Sarah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, just on that they're partying, I assume, but it could have been a Friday, I guess.
Well, kids, this is why context clues are important. So stay in school, okay?
Yeah, could have been Thursday. Who knows?
Who
Could
knows?
always
I
be
mean, it's
partying.
college, man. Every day is a fucking party.
Yeah. Especially off-campus housing if you're like rooming with five people, like
But yeah.
yeah. So around 1:30 a.m., Kaylee and Maddie left the club and then they went to a nearby food truck, which the food truck, I guess, broadcasts a live stream on Twitch. So that's how they
Ve-
know that they were there.
Very
So
hip
that's a
and
little
trendy.
interesting. Yeah. And then Xana and Ethan arrived back home around 1:45 a.m. And Kaylee and Maddie ended up taking a car ride back home and they arrived around 1:56 a.m. So everyone was home at that point. I guess Dylan and Bethany had also gone out that night, but I think they got home before everyone else. So everyone's in by 2 a.m. And then I guess Kaylee and Maddie and Bethany and Dylan stayed up after 2 a.m. chatting. And so, you know how you just end up staying up forever.
Well, you get home from the bars. I've done that before too. And next thing you know,
Yeah,
you're having a great conversation. And next thing you know, it's 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning, and you're like, oh shit.
right. Yeah, that's happened a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I guess they had talked about getting more food maybe, but they,
Duh. I'm surprised that didn't happen.
well, I guess Dylan texted an Uber driver she knew to be like, "Hey, are you out? Could you like bring us food or something?" And I don't know what happened with that, but I don't think they ended up like doing any of that. I know
Well,
Xana did order a DoorDash, but she was kind of separate, and that she had ordered it at 3:59 a.m. from Jack in the Box.
hell yeah, dude. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, and from her phone records, she was also on TikTok from 3:16 to 4:12 a.m. So they're thinking that this murder happened after 4:12 at some point, like between 4 and 5, I guess. Yeah. But around 4 a.m., Dylan did say she was woken up by noises, which she had thought was Kaylee playing with her dog Murphy, I guess.
As one
And
does.
yeah, and she did say shortly after that she heard what sounded like a female voice saying, "There's someone here," like kind of like a yell or like talking loudly, but not maybe not like urgent, like not like a scream. And she said she opened her bedroom door, but she didn't see anything. And then she heard something sound like crying coming from Xana's room. And she heard a male voice say something like, "It's okay. I'm going to help you. You're going to be okay." But again, like she opened the door and she didn't see anything. So she was like, okay. And she said the way the guy said that was like in a weird tone, like not really like comforting.
Yeah,
But she didn't see anything still. I don't know. And then I guess at 4:17 a.m., there was an outdoor security camera that heard distorted noises, dogs barking, a whimper, and then a thud. So some people speculate that that caught some of the murder.
right.
And I guess Dylan said she did hear something again because she opened her door a third time. And this time she does see something. She saw a figure all in black with a mask, like covering like his like mouth and like forehead. Like it was just like
Like a ski mask.
one of those. Yeah. And she said it was definitely a man, like 5'10" or taller. She said athletic build, but not muscular. It's like,
He had a
okay.
little, he was a little chunky.
Yeah. Well, I think she said lanky. Like he seemed, I don't know. Yeah. And bushy eyebrows, very bushy eyebrows. And she said the figure walked toward the back sliding door of the house and then Dylan locked herself in her room.
Good choice.
Yeah. But she did say that it seemed like they locked eyes with each other. So it's like, if that's the killer, he just left instead of killing her
Well,
too.
like I said, I don't know anything about the story. I'm sure I have more
Yeah.
opinions later, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Like in that moment, if I'm trying to think, like if you had just murdered, 4 or 5 people or however many it was, I'm assuming 4. Context clues once again, kids.
I don't know for sure.
And you were already on your way out, like you would have made more of a ruckus trying to get in to get the last person. You know what I mean?
Right. If she like
So
locked her door and stuff.
right.
Yeah. And I wonder if they even knew Bethany was there since that's like on the first floor, like kind of isolated too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, like, clearly she was not the primary target.
Right. Yeah. Also, like she said they have people in and out all the time. Like it's kind of a party house. So she kind of didn't really want to investigate more. Like she thought maybe someone else had invited someone over or like it was a prank or something. Like so she was just kind of like, I'll deal with this in the morning a little bit.
Look, we've all been there when you're hanging out at a if you've ever been to a party like that and you're just trying to go to sleep and you hear freaking weird shit, you, like, might pop your head out and be like,
Right.
"Shut the fuck up," and shut the door again, you know?
Yeah.
So, I completely understand that thought process.
Yeah. I guess at 4:22 though, she calls and texts the various roommates to see like, "I saw a man, like, what's going on?" kind of thing. Like, "Do you guys know him?" kinda. And, Bethany was the only one to answer, and, they do exchange, like, back and forth a little bit, and then Bethany tells her to, like, run downstairs to her room so they're together at least, because now they're, like, kind of freaked out and stuff. So Dylan does end up running to Bethany's room, and they stay together the rest of the night. And she said as she ran across the hall to go down the stairs, she could see Xana in her room, like lying on the floor with the feet towards the door and her head towards the wall. But she kind of just assumed Xana maybe had passed out from drinking because they had been
Mhm.
drinking so much. And also, I think it's pretty dark. So I doubt
Right.
she could like see.
Well, you
really,
said
like
they
what had
started
happened.
texting at 4:20 in the morning, so I'm assuming by the time she made it down, it probably wasn't any closer than or later than 4:30. So yeah, I mean, it's still
Right.
dark outside.
Yeah. I just don't know if they how much light they had like on in the house. Because some people did say there were lights on, but regardless, like she kind of sees Xana and then she runs down to Bethany's room. And then they do like try to call or text to the rest of the roommates still, and there's no answer. And then I guess at 5 and 6:30 a.m., Dylan was on her phone, but she was creating, editing, and deleting videos. So I don't think she was that concerned by then.
Well, and to be fair, once again, I mean,
Oh, wait, sorry. If you have my
you're good.
alarm, I usually turn that off.
You're good. I was gonna say, to be fair, I mean, like you said, it is kind of a party house, so I mean, and people
Yeah.
coming and going like that, yeah, you might get freaked out if you see some like weirdo in a ski mask, but at the same time, like it obviously wasn't like anything uncommon for people to be coming and going, like you said. So that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. And by then she's with Bethany and they've
Right.
probably calmed down a little bit. And then there was no activity on her phone until 8:05 a.m., where she logged onto Instagram a little bit. And then at 10:23 a.m., she texted Maddie saying, "Are you up?" Like with a bunch of question marks. Because it's like, usually, I guess Kaylee and Maddie were early risers. So it was weird that there was still like no activity by like 10:30. And then at 11:29 a.m., she texted Kaylee and asked also if she was awake. So then at 11:40, Dylan's dad texted her and she ended up responding. Oh, then by 11:50, she ends up calling a friend Emily and asks her to come over to check the house with her because now she's like, this is weird. And like she saw that man and stuff. So Emily and her boyfriend Hunter ends up coming over, which I guess Hunter was often there too. Like he was kind of like, I don't know, kind of a protector of the group, kind of. Like he would always come over and check out stuff. So they meet Dylan and Bethany outside, and then like Dylan, Bethany, and Hunter end up going upstairs to investigate. And Dylan says she saw Xana again for like a split second. And then she said, quote, "I just started bawling because I had thought she just like, I don't even know. I thought she was just still drunk and asleep on the floor." Like
Clearly.
at that point, she knows, like,
Right.
yeah. And I guess Hunter was probably in the front because he probably saw everything more. So he told Dylan and Bethany, like, you have to get out of here. Like he made them go back down the stairs before they could like see more. And they went outside and Hunter actually ended up grabbing a knife from the kitchen because he wasn't sure like what
Sure.
if people were still in there.
Right.
And he's the one that told the girls they have to call 911. So he knew like right away it was like bad. And I guess Emily was coming up the stairs at that time, so she never actually saw anything. But oh, at 11:58 a.m. is when they called 911. And the 911 call I can link in the description, but it is kind because you can listen to it if people want to. I don't know, but it is kind of confusing though because they kept passing the phone around between everyone.
Oh yeah.
Because at that point, then the girls were like really freaked out, and I don't think, yeah, and I just think from Hunter's reaction, probably like they might not have seen much, but they just knew something was like really wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't imagine how bad you would feel if you like pass by your friend's room, like, oh, haha, drank too much, you're sleeping on the floor.
Right.
And then you come up and you see her in the same position still, and like, oh, fuck, like this. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I guess Bethany was the one to make the 911 call initially, and she said something happened in our house and we don't know what. But then she was like crying too much, and so Emily ended up taking the phone because she was more calm since she's not one of the roommates there and stuff. So she ended up saying like one of the roommates passed out and was drunk last night and she's not waking up. And also they saw a man in their house last night. So kind of just saying what they had thought initially. Thought it was pretty clear that that's not what happened. Um, and then like they passed the phone to Dylan, who tried to talk about like seeing a man last night, but the operator's like, I need to know what's happening right now. I don't care what
Right.
happened at 4:30 in the morning or whatever. And then because they said that they were just passed out, the operator was like, well, are they breathing? So Dylan ends up saying, like, we have to go check again because they didn't really see anything.
Right.
And I think Hunter was kind of being like, no, but
Yeah.
because Dylan was like, we have to see because they are asking and stuff. So, and then you can kind of hear them going up the stairs and like them saying, is she passed out or what's wrong? And she's
Mm.
not waking up. And then I think Hunter sees more because I think they do end up going upstairs and he probably pushes the door open more and then he could see
Right.
Ethan.
Right.
Because then you hear a lot of heavy breathing, which I think is male. So I think that's Hunter. And then I swear I hear something like that says poor Kaylee too, but I don't really know
Oh,
why. Because they don't know about Kaylee and Maddie at that point. So I'm
right.
not sure why I hear that. But and then Hunter just yells, get out, get out, get out, like go. Like you can't see anymore. Like so yeah. And then they pass it to Hunter because he saw the most. And the operator asks, is she breathing? And he just says no. Like no more explanation, just no. And then he ends up saying he can't talk to them. Like he needs them to talk to them. Then hands the phone again. So the operator just keeps asking, like, stop passing the phone around, but they can't. They're all freaking out. I mean, can you
Yeah.
imagine if you're like 20 years old and you see this?
A little bit, but not like my friends and stuff, but yeah. Um,
What? Right. Yeah. Not waking up from partying
no,
and
no, no, no.
you see this in your, yeah.
No, in all seriousness, like I think that everybody at that point was in different stages of shock, and I think that's probably
Yeah.
why the phone was getting passed around so much. Because I mean, especially with something like this, like I said, I've done minimal research, but I heard it was a very, very horrific crime scene. So
Yeah.
not being exposed to anything ever like that in your life and then having to go up again after already kind of knowing what happened, not fully
Right.
knowing, but then having to
Yeah.
go up and check responsiveness of, a dead body, like even like the touch of it where, it's like, oh, they're cold, like they've been dead for a while. Like, yeah, I
Right.
couldn't,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I don't know if they just saw them again or if like what exactly they did, but yeah. Um, because I think Hunter definitely saw it at least because he was right in the front and he had to have seen exactly what happened and like knew that they're not going to make it or they're dead. Yeah. And then police arrived pretty much right at that point. So the operator was like, I'm just going to let you talk to the police now.
right. Well, I
Because,
was I was
yeah,
assuming after getting a call like that, the operator already is dispatching at least
yeah,
a squad car to get over to it.
yeah, yeah. I think the first officer that responds to, he's like, shit, like as he sees more. Because they don't deal with this in
Right.
Moscow, Idaho. So, yeah. Um, So Xana and Ethan were found on the second floor in Xana's room, and Xana was on the floor, I think on her back, and Ethan was in the bed with a blanket partly like covering him still. So he had been murdered, like he was probably asleep
Right.
and was killed. And then because the two officers that got there, they saw that and then they said they had to like clear the rest of the house and everything. So then that's also when they found on the third floor Maddie and Kaylee because they had shared a bed together. So they found them there as well. So they had all been stabbed to death. And I guess some people said it took a while to find Maddie and Kaylee, but like the police found them right away, obviously. But they
Yeah.
just weren't sharing that with because some of the roommates, like the two surviving roommates, were asking, like, is Maddie and Kaylee also in the house? Like, we haven't heard from them. And so, like, they didn't know for sure. So to them, it took a while to confirm, but like the police obviously knew right away. They just weren't saying anything.
Right.
So yeah, and they had to get witness statements and everything too and stuff. So they weren't going to tell them, like, yeah, they're also in there. Like, I don't know. I just can't imagine. There's body cam footage too that was released that I could put in
Of them like
the
clearing
group
the house?
description. Yeah, I mean, it's blacked out where they go
Oh,
in the rooms and stuff. But yeah, when they first arrived and saw the roommates and like Hunter and Emily standing outside, and then when they start clearing the house, and then when they interview, it's like almost an hour probably of body cam footage because
shit.
then they interview all of them afterwards to get their stories too and stuff. So, yeah, a lot of information has been released probably in the last like month. So a lot of new stuff. If anyone's
I don't
interested in watching the body cam.
I mean, I know what I'm doing after we finish recording. I seriously don't
Yeah.
know how I didn't know about this. I have never
Yeah, I
heard of
don't know.
this. This is
Right.
wild.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess the Moscow police hadn't had to deal with a murder since like for 7 years before this was like one
Shit.
murder, or I think that was like a murder suicide or something. But to
And
have
now
like
they're
four
yeah,
murders,
now they're dealing with multiple homicides that happened at the same well, not at the same time, but in the same house within a matter of,
right.
minutes.
Yeah, and pretty quickly the police do release a news statement saying like they don't have anyone in custody, but they didn't think it was an ongoing community risk. Like they thought it was pretty targeted and that there's not
Sure.
just some random killer out there still. But a couple days later on November 16th, they did walk that back a little bit and they said we don't have a suspect still and that individual is still out there. So that kind of made the community more like uneasy because it's like this person could just strike again.
Well, I mean, if in all honesty, I mean, that might be a way to get away for a little while at the least of going to some random town, randomly picking people.
Right.
I could
Yeah.
totally see why they would walk that back, make it look like it's a targeted attack, but it's really not.
Right. Yeah. And at that time, because that's only like 3 days later, they had 25 state police investigating as well. And the FBI was assisting already at that point because they just don't really have the resources in this
Sure.
town to
Yeah.
do with it. And a lot of students actually did try to leave the area or take online classes or whatever, like to leave this campus area because it was just, I mean, it's crazy. So
Yeah.
they just didn't feel safe. So November 17th, an autopsy was conducted and they said everyone was attacked with a large knife. And they said they died sometime after 2 a.m., which is kind of vague.
Well,
Yeah, and the coroner described the stab wounds as pretty extensive. So it was pretty brutal. I guess Ethan, yeah,
that's the thing. Like I don't think people understand. It's not like the movies where you just get stabbed once and you're just like death.
oh yeah,
You know what I mean? Like most of the time, if you hear about people being murdered with any sort of knife or sharp object, like you'll see like defensive wounds on like their forearms and
hmm,
like it's not quick.
right,
There was a hugely viral video that came out of the Russian Ukraine conflict of two soldiers that ran out of ammunition and they both went for their knife. The video is like no shit like 20 minutes of them fighting for their life. So like
wow, yeah, that's
yeah,
crazy.
like it's not just a one and done thing. It takes a while for shit like that to happen. So,
Yeah, yeah. So you'd think it'd make a lot of noise too. Like I don't know how Dylan didn't hear more,
well, you got to think too. I
but
mean, if it was random, it was extremely lucky on his part that he picked a Saturday night where they everybody had been out drinking. Everybody was probably still inebriated to a certain extent. You know what I mean?
right, yeah, Probably.
As far as the fighting back and making noises, I mean, they might not have been very effective at it.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ethan, I mean, they do think Ethan was asleep when he died. He had 2 large cuts to the back of his legs, which were like deep into the tissue. So I'm not sure why on that, but he also had a stab wound to the neck that severed his jugular vein, subclavian vein, and artery. So that's definitely how he died.
Yeah, 100%.
Some people do think because Xana was awake and Xana fought the killer. So some people think maybe Ethan came to a little bit and was like, what's going on a little bit? And then the killer like turned to him before finishing with Xana. So maybe that's where the legs like wounds came from.
Well, that makes sense too, why you heard possible, "Hey, I'll don't worry, I'll take care of you."
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So Xana was stabbed over 50 times.
yep,
And like I said, most of her wounds were her arms, hands, and face. And they were like defensive wounds.
yeah.
And she died from lacerations to her heart and lungs. But she fought really hard.
Oh, yeah.
And then Maddie had wounds on her face and upper body, with her fatal injuries being lacerations to her liver and left lung. And then Kaylee was stabbed more than 30 times, and she had wounds to her face and upper body as well. But they said that hers were so extreme that it made her unrecognizable. So hers
Fuck.
seemed, yeah, it seemed like way more extreme than the other 3.
Mhm.
Kaylee was also the only one who had injuries beyond stab wounds. So she was struck in the face by an unknown object, like a blunt object, and she also had asphyxial injuries. So it's a little strange that hers are like so much more brutal.
It sounds more personal.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, her fatal injuries were a lung laceration, liver laceration, and severed subclavian vein and artery too. So it is like rumored. I mean, we'll probably never know why or what really was the target and stuff, but it's rumored that she was the target since hers are so much worse.
I would
Like,
assume. Yeah.
yeah. And like Maddie was just, since they were sleeping in the same bed together, then she was already there. So then he felt he had to kill her too. And then they are saying that Xana probably heard something and started going up the stairs. So he was caught. So then he felt like he had to kill Xana too. And then she went back to her room where Ethan was. So that just led to that too. So that's kind of the theory, but we won't really know for sure. And there are also rumors or well, reports, but I couldn't find. There's some reports and some stuff doesn't match some other reports, but some people reported that there was gagging involved for at least one of the victims, if not multiple as well. So I'm not sure what that's about, but
Well, I would assume that would mean that some sort of he almost, like, detained one
yeah,
while
right,
he did whatever to one, and then which would make me think that it's definitely not random by any means.
right. Yeah,
Unless, like, don't
yeah,
get me wrong, like, there are some crazy motherfuckers out there, but I don't know. I don't think that would just be like a, "Hey, I feel like stabbing somebody today. I'm gonna come and pick a random house, and
right.
that's what I'm gonna do."
Yeah,
You would have heard so many more reports about a serial killer that had that same MO.
right. Yeah, if it was totally random, they would just go into any house and do it. Yeah. So with the initial evidence that was kind of released when the police did all their photos and stuff, the most significant piece of evidence was a tan leather knife sheath found under one of the victim's beds. This was a K-bar knife sheath, but I guess there was a DNA profile or DNA on it. They called it touch DNA though, so that's like skin cells,
Right.
but that was found on the button snap of this sheath. So they did have that. They did run it through National Criminal Database and they got no matches there. And then they decided to run it with a private lab to see if it could be matched on like public ancestry databases. So within a couple days, they kind of found like cousin matches. And then they started kind of building a family tree from public records and stuff from this DNA. And then there were multiple videos from the neighborhood and businesses that captured a white Hyundai Elantra that was circling the scene at least 4 times. And it started at 3:30 a.m. and then it sped away around 4:20 a.m. So this was like exactly when they think this
Right.
happened. And then they had the eyewitness statement from Dylan that described this man in all black with bushy eyebrows. Like they really focused on the bushy eyebrows. And then they also ended up having a 3-person mixture of unknown DNA that was found under the fingernails of one of the victims, which I would assume was Xana because
Yeah.
she fought so hard. But it is a little like, who are these 3 people? Or like, I don't think that's ever been solved.
Right.
Or like,
Yeah.
why is there 3 there? But
Well, I mean, one of them could have been, what was her boyfriend's name? I'm sorry.
Ethan.
One of them could have been Ethan for sure, and one of them could have been the person that committed the crime, but then the third, that is kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, also it says unknown DNA. You'd think they would test it against Ethan.
Yeah, or I don't know. Yeah, it
Yeah, I
is
don't
weird
know.
they would release something like that that doesn't really give it any clarity whatsoever.
Yeah, and then they also did find additional DNA from an unknown male on a glove outside the house as well. But I don't know how
Well,
close to the house. Like is it just trash? Is it like
yeah, well, I was gonna say you're in like a college like housing area like that could be anything. Like you said, where
right,
was it at? Was it right outside the threshold of the front door, or was it a block away? Like,
right. Yeah. Yeah, how far away are we going? And then obviously it had significant like blood spatter on the walls and floors and belongings and to try and piece together kind of the sequence of what happened. But I would not recommend looking up any of the crime scene photos that they've released.
I already did. It's pretty brutal, but viewer
Right.
discretion
Yeah, I
advised.
looked at Xana's room. It was really bad. And there was like a lot of blood around like the leg of the nightstand. Like they thought she probably grabbed it to try and throw it at him. So, I mean, she really fought, but yeah. Um, so we can get into suspects a little bit. So the police pretty much right away ruled out the 2 surviving roommates.
Yeah,
Like they
man,
didn't have anything to do with it. But that doesn't stop the internet from speculating that
sure.
the roommates had something to do with it, which is ridiculous. Just because they took so long, I guess, to call. But it's like, if it's like 4:30 in the morning or something, like, what are you going to do as a 20-year-old? Like, you're going to call 911? Like, probably
Well,
not.
and that's the thing, like, context is everything here, right? You spent a night out drinking, everybody went out and did something, right?
Right.
Everybody went out on a Saturday night, had a great time. By time 4:30 in the morning hits, you're doing one of 2 things. Either trying to stop spinning in your bed or you're passed the fuck out. Like,
Yeah.
that's where you're at that point. You hearing something weird and poking your head out and then not seeing anything and going back to sleep, totally understandable. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So people need to lay off. That's them.
Yeah.
Also, like, or Dylan at least was underage. So she could have been scared about, like, shit, I've been drinking and I can't call 911 right now. Like, for
Yeah.
some guy that probably is a friend of someone's. And then I look like a fucking asshole for calling then.
Yeah, I mean, you don't wanna look like an idiot, especially like you said,
Right.
she's
Yeah.
underage, she's in her, what, freshman or
Yeah.
sophomore year, so,
Yeah.
like, yeah, and I mean, you obviously are living with these people, and you obviously are friends with them, you don't want to be the weirdo that called the police because one of their boyfriends came over, you know what I mean, or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it could have been a frat hazing thing or something.
Sure, Could have
Yeah.
been anything.
Um, Initially, other people kind of brought this guy, Jack, as a suspect because he was Kaylee's ex-boyfriend.
Okay.
They had been together for 5 years, and she had broken it off with him a month before the murders. So, but they did still remain good friends after the breakup. But some of the family, like, kind of brought him up as a suspect because the police weren't really saying much. So it's kind of frustrating. So people just came up with their own suspects. But there was never anything that, like, linked him to this.
Well, I mean, you got every time you see a murderer, when they start questioning people, the first thing they're going to go to is, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, ex, like that's that typical, kind of down the list of what we're going to look for. Oh,
Yeah, it makes sense to look at it. And then there were tips that Kaylee had a stalker. I don't think the stalker was ever identified, but I think it was like a week before, or maybe like within a month before, she said there was like some creepy man that she thought was following her. And then also their door had been tampered with. And I think it was Xana's dad. It was one of their dads that came over to like fix the door because it was like broken. So that did freak Kaylee out, but I don't think they ever identified who that was. Or if it's, I don't think it was the same person as the killer, but they did narrow down onto this white Hyundai Elantra, which was apparently a fifth generation.
mm,
I don't know how they know that. But the police announced on December 15th that there were 22,000 of those cars made between 2011 and 2013. So they kind of asked the public for help with this. So that's like what, a month, a little over a month already.
right.
And they're like, hey, this car. And there
Only
were
takes one.
investigators. Yeah. Well, I guess in the whole country, maybe, or like
Well,
sold.
that's what I'm saying. Those are what have
Yeah.
been sold, and Hyundai is an international brand, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So I mean,
Right.
well, and here's the thing that I'm wondering: the Delphi murders. They were able to narrow that down by pretty much the car that they found.
Right. That's
So what's
true.
the problem
Yeah.
here?
Well, they do find someone. We're
Okay,
getting
good.
to it.
I was about to say,
Yeah. This is not really unsolved. There's just some questions still, maybe, but investigators in Pullman, Washington, which is the college town adjacent to Moscow. It's about 15 minutes away. But that's where Washington State University is, I guess.
okay, yeah,
So investigators there, they looked at a white Elantra that was owned by 28-year-old PhD student and teaching assistant Brian Koberger. And at that time, he had driven to the Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania for the holidays with his dad. But they
damn,
start looking at this car because it's so close, I guess. I don't know what flagged the car, like for him, but around the same time, they did get the family tree back from the DNA like lab that they had sent it to, and the tree led to the Koberger family.
mm,
So that was another thing. So they had the car, apparently this DNA, so he became the prime suspect in December. And he was studying criminal justice at Washington State. So he knows the
he
ins and
knows
outs of,
he knows how not to get away with things.
yeah. Yeah, he does get caught, so yeah, so investigators obtained cell phone data that showed his phone actually like stopped connecting in Pullman around 2:47 a.m. on November 13th, and then it reconnected around 4:48 near Blaine, Idaho, which is near like the highway closest to Moscow. So like he turned it off and back on, like at the exact same time. You'd think you just wouldn't bring your phone, like.
You know,
He's so smart. His cell phone data also showed that his phone connected to a cell tower near their residence around 9 a.m. after the killings, like the next day, probably being like, why aren't there any police around here? He did that.
kind of like an arsonist watching the fire department put out their fire.
Right. Yeah. And then it also had pinged the cell phone tower nearest to the residence at least 12 times between August and November 13th. with
Shit.
all of them. Yeah, with all of them but one being at late night or early morning hours, like odd hours, not like typical.
Right.
So I'm kind of like maybe he was the stalker, but they
Uh,
kind of said he wasn't. I don't know how they decided.
well, I mean, based off of the general description that she gave of a creepy old man, I mean, he's obviously not trying to bring attention to
She
himself.
said creepy man, not old.
Sorry, my bad. A creepy man.
Yeah, right.
I mean, anybody kind of lurking, watching you is going to be a creep, regardless
Yeah,
of how they physically appear. So
right. Yeah. Well, I'll show you a picture of him later. Yeah,
he's a
I would
fucking
cross
creep.
the street away from him. So before they arrested him, they monitored their residence, like outside of his family's house in Pennsylvania. They were monitoring him because they did end up getting a search warrant and be able to like track him instead. And they said he was behaving unusually. Apparently, he stopped using debit or credit cards. He like was using only cash. He was seen multiple times wearing surgical gloves and placing trash bags inside a neighbor's trash can. So getting rid of evidence, maybe. I guess they did collect those items and sent it to an Idaho State lab for testing from the neighbor's garbage can. Because once you throw stuff away, they
That's
can
free
grab it.
game.
Yeah. They also said he cleaned his car inside and out, not missing an inch. So I guess he was very thorough with that. And then they did end up being able to search the home after he was arrested, like his actual house in Pullman.
Hmm.
And they did find a knife, a pistol, a black face mask, and ID cards inside a glove in a box. But the knife wasn't the murder weapon. The agents also were able to retrieve some of the family's trash from the dad's house, and they found a Q-tip and ran DNA testing on the Q-tip. This is like one of the big breaks that people talk about. But that came back and found that Brian's father, Michael, was likely to be the dad of whoever left the DNA on the knife sheath. So basically
Okay,
saying that
that's him.
that is, yeah. Yeah, so he was taken into custody by Pennsylvania State Police, actually, and the FBI on December 30th. And they said they found him in the kitchen dressed in a shirt and shorts, wearing examination gloves, and putting trash into separate Ziploc baggies when they arrested him.
Fucking weirdo.
Yeah, I guess they do say he has OCD. So,
Sure, I get
but
it.
yeah, still. And I guess they were able to seize all of his electronic devices, but they said that he had been wiping data from them. So we're not really sure what we lost, like before they got that. But he did keep several screenshots and pictures of the news coverage of the killings. They also found through his Amazon purchase history that he had bought a K-bar knife 8 months before.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah. Also his browsing history showed dozens, like searching for dozens of photos of women from University of Idaho and Washington State. So just looking at the
Mm,
women from campus
yeah,
or whatever. And yeah, and some of those women were close friends with some of the victims. So I don't know if he like found them through them or something.
probably.
Um, Investigators also found out that he had been invited to a pool party on July 9th in Moscow, and that was verified by 3 witnesses. And his phone data also verified that he was there at that time. And then over the next month, he took multiple trips to Moscow, and his phone at one point connected to a cell tower within 100 meters of the victim's house. So maybe he had seen one of them like at the pool party and became obsessed with them or something. So I don't know. Weird. They also did find some porn searches in his browsing history with keywords being drunk, drugged girls and gagged girls, which were both components of this case.
Yeah,
So
fucking piece of shit.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. So people are wondering if it was sexually motivated. But There is no evidence that they were sexually assaulted.
I mean, I'm sure it was like a fantasy thing, but once he started doing the adrenaline started going, okay, I mean, this guy sounds like he had the perfect plan, right? He probably
Yeah.
didn't. He probably had some intention of that at some point. I'm almost positive of that. But once you know, killed somebody, that kind of out the window. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Especially if he wasn't expecting so many people to be awake. Like, who
Right.
knows if he knew Maddie and Kaylee would be together, if he was only going after one of them.
Right.
He ends up having to kill both. And then
Yeah.
Xana comes up. He ends up having to kill her. And then her boyfriend wakes up, Ethan. So then he's like, oh.
Yeah.
So
Body
some
dotty
people are,
everybody. Shit.
right. I mean, some people are saying even if he knew like Dylan was there, even if he saw her and like was like, oh shit, another person is awake, like he just did not have the energy to like go after
Sure.
those.
Yeah.
Or like he
Especially
was also maybe like, I gotta get out of here.
well, I mean, the fight that you said that, clearly that she put up,
Yeah.
like you would have been physically exhausted from
Right.
from doing that and probably mentally exhausted too because that would have been the
Yeah.
fourth last victim that you
Right.
killed. So,
Yeah. And your adrenaline's probably gone by then too.
yeah, you've probably had that adrenaline dump that's finally happened where you're just coming back down and you're just like, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think I think probably what he probably saw her and like you said was just like fuck I can't do this I'm out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Also apparently he had a history of stalking other women at Washington State
You
University.
don't say. That's a shocker.
Yeah. One woman said he watched her from her window while she was getting dressed, and he knocked on her window at one point. Be
What
like,
the
"Huh,
fuck?
just let me in. Hello." Yeah.
Hi, I think you're really pretty, lady I've never
Right.
met.
Yeah. And then another woman said she was in an undergrad with him, actually, like in the same classes, and he asked her out. And she said she was not interested because actually she likes women. And that did not deter him. So he showed up at her workplace apparently every day. I'm not sure for how long, but she said she would start to run and hide in the bathroom every time he showed up because it was getting so bad. And when she went to police about it, like she was told that that was not the first time people were reporting him. Also, he didn't really have a solid alibi. I mean, most people probably don't, but he said he often went driving late at night alone, and that's what he was doing on that night. And he was just driving around. And so
I
can't
happen to
really
and
verify any of that.
when I drive alone at night, the first thing I do is I, turn off my location from my phone.
Yeah, for like 2 hours.
For
I
just
just want
2
to be
hours.
totally separate.
Yeah, and then I have a timer set on my Timex watch that I, right when it goes off, I turn my
Right.
location back on.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to see what he looks like?
Yeah, let's see this fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, he is definitely someone I would cross the street to get.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
First word that comes to mind is lurch.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like it.
Looks a little sickly. Eyes kind of sunken in.
Yeah, a little bit like gaunt. Yeah.
Crooked ass fucking nose.
Yeah, I just like noticed that today.
Dude, he's definitely been punched in the face so many times.
Probably. Yeah. So, and apparently he like posted to social media or something like the next morning after the murders, he posted his face with like a thumbs up and like smiling. So,
Proud of myself.
yeah.
God damn.
So fast forwarding to like the next year, December 28th, 2023, a house of the victims ended up being demolished. The property owner like donated it to the university and they demolished it to like kind of move on, I guess. A lot of the family was kind of upset about that though, because there hadn't even been a trial yet.
Yeah.
But they did take like, I mean, thousands of pictures. Like they took pictures of every single square inch of that house. So it was kind of like, I don't know. I could see why keep it longer. So the trial actually was meant to start on August 18th, 2025. So
Fuck.
very recent.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot of delaying because they debated on what evidence should be admissible in court.
Of course.
So, yeah. And then the judge, Stephen Hippler, declined to rule out the death penalty as a possible punishment because I guess
Good.
Idaho does have that. So, actually, in July of last year, the defense came to the prosecution like wanting a plea deal to kind of get rid of the death penalty. So he actually ended up pleading guilty to all counts of the murders, plus, I guess, like burglary for
Sure.
breaking in or something.
Right.
And that was on July 2nd. So he took that plea deal and he waived his rights for like any appeals too. So he did confess and he will be in jail for the rest of his life. And he was 30 at the time. I
Oh,
don't
at the
know why I
time
was gonna
of
say he was
the
30.
killing?
Like last year.
Oh,
No.
last
No,
year.
he was like
Okay. I got
28.
you. Okay. I was
20,
about to say,
yeah.
yeah.
No, now he's like 30. Some of the family obviously doesn't really agree with that. They really wanted a trial to like get some answers. And I guess Kaylee's family has been the most outspoken. Like they're pretty outspoken about everything, but they want it. Like there's no idea of why he did it. They've never found the murder weapon and like they want to know like what led to this kind of or like
Yeah.
what happened really. And they're never going to get that now, but I don't know. I could see
Yeah.
it kind of both ways like it's good, but
Well, it's always I've seen like interviews with people that are serial killers and stuff like that, and they will like deliberately withhold information just as like one last power move over, the families or the judge or the authority, whoever it may be. You know what I mean?
right.
Because at the end of the day, like that's what that's really all about is you're taking someone else's power away and you're exploiting it yours on them. You know what I mean? Like that's really
Right.
what the mentality of killing someone in that sort of fashion is. So him having that is probably like at least in his mind like one last ditch effort of like, well, I've still got this on you and you're never going to know. It's going to give me satisfaction that you'll never know, you know.
Right. Yeah. And like Kaylee's dad said, quote, "How can you say it's just when you haven't even talked to us to see what justice looks like for us?" So they were like really mad about it
Yeah,
because they weren't even told at all that this was going to happen.
right.
And it was set to go to trial. And he kind of at the last minute was like, "Hey, I want to do this plea deal." And the prosecution just like went
Okay.
with it. So it's kind of like they didn't think they
Yeah.
could win the trial. Like,
I couldn't imagine being a father and having that happen
yeah,
and not being able to know, you know?
right. Yeah. Um, and I think kind of one factor to this is Bill Thompson. He's the county prosecutor and he was the lead prosecutor. But apparently he's never lost a case. Like,
Well,
so I feel like he just went with this because it was an easy win too, instead
probably.
of the chance of a trial. Because maybe it wasn't a slam dunk because they really only had that like touch DNA that said,
Yeah, but I don't know. That and the cell phone data, the timelines lining
yeah,
up. Like, I don't think it would been like an open and shut slam dunk like you said, but it's more than likely that that's who it was. And I think
yeah,
anybody sitting on a jury, I mean, hell, I got the information that is readily available, and I'm convinced. You know what I
right,
mean?
yeah,
I couldn't
yeah,
imagine
and
all the evidence they would show in an actual trial,
well, yeah, right. And like I mean this became like national news, like everyone knew about this, almost everyone
except
knew
me.
about this. But they even had to like move the trial to Boise to kind of get away a little bit from
Oh, I'm
like
sure.
like yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but since he took the plea deal, there were gag orders and that has been lifted since the trial's not happening anymore and it's over. So now this has caused hundreds of pages of evidence to be released, like since January, like of this year. So very
Yeah.
recent, like January 5th or something was the first wave. But that was kind of within the plea deal that they would give families some closure without the trial by like releasing this kind of evidence because that's what would have gone to trial. And because of this, that has sparked new interest from the internet and new speculation and theories. So here's some new evidence, I guess. Let's see. Well, I guess the lead prosecutor, though, he did say we do not have evidence that he had direct contact with 1122, like the house. So that's kind of like, there's some people called pro burgers, I guess, who are saying he's completely innocent. And it's like,
Really?
I don't think so. Yeah.
No.
They're saying he is totally innocent. And it's like, no, I don't think so. I could see another person being involved, maybe, just because of that other
Sure.
like unknown DNA. But he definitely is involved, if not the only killer.
Well, here's the thing, and my argument to anybody like that is why would you take a plea deal if you're innocent?
Well, to avoid the death penalty.
Okay, but if you're innocent,
Well, yeah. Well,
there's nothing.
people do get convicted when they are innocent.
Well, very very true, but I
And then
mean
you
you.
die because you're,
Well,
I
I
mean,
mean,
there have been cases.
I'm not saying there haven't been, but ultimately he still is going. He's still got quote unquote the death penalty. He's just not
Yeah.
dying until he's
Well,
80.
he's a little coward. Right. Yeah. No, he
You
wanted
know,
to live the rest of his life, but in a maximum
for
security
what?
prison.
Like that's what I'm
Right.
saying. For what?
Yeah. Right.
You're,
Yeah.
I
I
don't
would
know,
almost
man.
rather just die right away.
100%. Send me to the electric chair. Give me the freaking lethal injection, whatever it is that the state does. I'm not spending the rest of my life in a fucking 6x6 cell.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how these people think he's totally innocent. I guess, I mean, the only thing again is like that touch DNA or like, I guess investigators did confirm that they have never found a connection between any of the 4 victims or the other two roommates with him, like specifically, because he didn't have any pictures or texts on any of electronics regarding those 6 people specifically, I
Well,
guess.
but you did say that he was looking up people that were friends of them.
Well, and
So
I mean, who knows who was at that pool party? Like,
that's the other thing I was going to say. I mean, you're at a college pool party. Everybody that was anybody was probably there in that little circle of friends, right? Or whoever was there
right.
with their friends and that brought more friends. And like, yeah.
Yeah. There were a lot of photos released of handprints and fingerprints on the sliding glass door and the window in the kitchen, which they do believe like the killer entered and exited through the sliding glass door. But I haven't seen anything that says it's like his fingerprints. I mean, I don't know if they would ever say like, yeah, this is confirmed to be his since there's not a trial now, but they did release a bunch of those. But I'm also like, if he's so careful, he would have been wearing gloves. Like, whose are the, like, that's not,
Well,
it
clearly
might
he,
just be someone who lives there.
well, yeah, clearly he wasn't though that
Well,
careful.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
right. Well, yeah,
People like to like, I don't mean it this in like a weird way or anything, but like people like to watch those like murders that almost got away and they're like, I could have totally, if I would have done that, I would have done this and this.
right.
Or it's like, I want to watch a UFC fight. I ought to beat his ass if he would have done, like, dude, no, you're no, like,
Right.
you have no idea what you would do in that situation.
Well, he is a student of criminology, or criminal justice or whatever, but
Well,
his,
yeah, but I mean, what does that do for you? Clearly just gets you a
well,
life sentence in prison when you try to kill
well,
more people. Like,
I mean, the prosecutors did say, because nothing was ever found in his car either, but they did say because he was a student, like they've used that excuse of like, because he was a student, like a PhD student of criminal justice, he knew how to like cover his tracks and clean everything. So it's like, if you're saying that, then how did he not wear gloves? Like, how are you going to get these fingerprints?
you
You
can't
can't have
have,
both.
well, I think you probably can because you got to think like in that instance when he had probably been working himself up to doing whatever he was going to do. And when he was probably sitting out in his car the adrenaline that he knew what he was about to do, those like fine motor skills and like actual like completing like complex thought is going out the window because your body's just getting flooded with adrenaline. So
Yeah.
it very well could have been that he literally forgot to put gloves on.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Do you think I guess that's possible, right? He just
Sarah,
forgot.
I when I
I
was
mean,
teaching,
he does seem like an idiot.
he does seem like an idiot. When I was teaching at the air assault school, I had a kid that was so scared in the bird that he almost forgot to put his gloves on.
Really wrong.
So
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people again are like going after the roommates, which I'm sure they have to live with this for the
yeah,
rest of
that
their life.
sucks.
Yeah, and Bethany did say because since there was no trial, they gave like victim statements, I think is what it is, like where all the family and friends can talk
Right.
to like give them a piece of their mind and stuff. And Bethany at that time did say, I mean, she feels so guilty that she didn't call 911 sooner.
I
And she's
can't.
gonna have to live with that the rest of her
Yeah,
life.
I can't imagine the survivor's guilt for those two. I
Yeah.
cannot imagine like that.
Especially like Dylan, because she saw someone too. It's like she saw him and then she brushed it away because you don't think that
Yep.
it's like that. So yeah, I can't imagine. I guess there's also an audio released from a ring camera from a neighboring house, which was at like 2:30 a.m. Some people are picking this up and saying these are the murders happening because apparently you can hear it. I feel like it's a bunch of gibberish
Right.
or like you can't really hear or like some partying. Like there's definitely shouts and it does sound like a lot of like whoos, like
R-
partying.
You're
But a lot of people have latched onto this.
Yeah, but once again, you're in a college town and obviously a
Yeah,
neighborhood that houses roommates that go to said college on a Saturday night, but
right.
people are partying.
Yeah. Because they're saying because of the sound, then it throws the timeline of like 4 a.m. into question too.
No.
And it's all these conspiracy theories, and it's like, no, I don't think so.
Look, I'm
Like,
here for a great conspiracy theory. I truly am. I just don't think this is one of them.
right. Yeah, because there's other theories of like drugs were involved, like drug dealing out of the house, and they were a hit because of someone was ratting them out or something. Like,
Look,
people go crazy.
I can tell you right now, just by looking at those girls, that they weren't slinging anything out of that house. I could almost guarantee it. Now, I mean, obviously I don't know that for sure, but I would bet money that they weren't selling drugs.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a theory that an officer was involved, which is kind of crazy, mostly because of the lack of suspect early on, and people were mad about that. And like called it like methodical killings, so it kind of led to the theory of this was someone with training, but it doesn't seem like that to me.
No.
There was also an admission that an officer involved in the investigation of Brian Koberger was being investigated themselves and could have potentially affected the criminal proceedings. So, like, I don't know what that's called. It's like something where they could affect it too much and then the details were sealed away.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but what was the officer being investigated for?
Well, it was sealed away, so we don't know. We don't
Well, but
know who it was or how involved in the case they were or
it that
why they're
but
being
that
investigated.
literally could have been anything
Right.
unrelated to the case. Like that could have literally been anything.
Yeah,
So,
that
yeah,
kind of just, yeah. Yeah.
that
I mean,
that could have been because he cursed at somebody when he was pulling them over for a traffic ticket. Like it could have been that dumb, you
oh,
know?
okay. Yeah. Yeah. Um, there have been some bungling of the crime scene photos released in the latest batch, especially. I think it was on January 22nd, that batch. They released like 2,800 photos, and some of them did not properly blur the victims. So that is like, people are upset about the police for that. But other people are just going crazy about these photos because even where you can't see anything, like people are zooming in on like the reflection in a light bulb. and saying that's a body in the reflection, that they had to like zoom in so far. It's like, can you guys chill? Like a little insane.
I don't know what it is with the fascination behind that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I understand it to a certain extent because obviously when you're like true crime documentaries are a huge thing that people really, really, really enjoy. So we do like I think us as human beings do have this like morbid fascination with that topic. But it gets to the point where it's like you have to understand that this is a human being. This was somebody that had hopes, aspirations, dreams, goals. Like they had a mother, father, brother, sister, like significant others. Like, why do you want to see them in that state?
Right. Yeah. And like stabbed like 50 times.
That's
Like
what I'm saying.
just don't. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's pretty uh, rude, I guess. I don't know. I
Well,
was going to say a different word,
like
but
I said, I mean, I get it. It's fucked up, but we do as human beings have like a weird morbid fascination with it. So I get it to a certain extent. I truly do. I understand because what's the typical trope of you're going to watch a you're going to be eating popcorn while watching the latest Ed Gein documentary. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
right.
Like or
Right.
whatever. So I get it to a
Yeah.
certain extent.
Right. And I do think since there wasn't a trial, then some people are like still looking to for answers and stuff. So I don't know. They're just digging even more into things that are not relevant at all. But
Well, and at the yeah.
yeah. I mean, it does kind of suck there wasn't a trial. I mean, that would have been
Yeah, but at the same time, like if he took a plea deal, like you really think he would have actually given any like actual information?
right. That is what the prosecutor said is why they didn't even ask to put that in. Because sometimes you can put that into the plea deal of like, where's the murder weapon and everything.
Right.
And he said like he wouldn't have trusted anything that Koberger said because he just is a fucking like sociopath and just lies about things and stuff.
Sure.
But it's also like we could have tried. Like you
Yeah.
could have just tried to put it in there, but I don't know. Because yeah, they're never gonna find the murder weapon for sure, and never
Well,
gonna know who he was really targeting. Because I
yeah.
do
I mean,
think he was targeting a specific person.
for sure. And my assumption what it was. I'm sorry. I'm horrible with names. Maddie, the one that had the more
Just Haley that had the like
Haley. I'm sorry.
strangulation and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
Haley.
I
I'm
kind of do think. Yeah,
that was way more personal. Like to
right,
strangle, like to stab somebody is already really, really, really fucked up and personal. But to strangle somebody with your bare hands, like that
right.
is
Well,
typically
and she was hit with a blunt object too. It's like,
right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely think obviously he did it, but I do wonder if there was another person or something just because of that fingernail DNA, I guess.
Maybe, but I don't know, man. Like it I feel like
Yeah,
in that state at that time in the morning, already, coming back from the bar, like I don't think it would be hard for one person that was motivated to do that sort of thing to do that either.
right. Yeah,
So,
because I guess they do say it was probably over like 14 minutes or something.
yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, you can stab someone very quickly, obviously. So,
Well, yeah, but then that also makes sense why, like you said, he turned away and didn't want to do anything once he was seen. Because I mean, yeah, 14
yeah,
minutes doesn't seem that long, but 14 minutes of you actively fighting
right.
is
Yeah.
long fucking time.
Yeah. Someone said it was like over 150 stabs
Yeah,
between the four
yeah,
victims. So,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I could see he was just literally could not do any more. So, yeah,
yeah.
and I do think he would have thrown any accomplices under the bus like immediately to get a
Well,
better
judge.
deal if
Yeah,
there's anyone else.
I was gonna say, judging off of the content of that guy's character that you've described, I feel like he'd be like, well, actually, Joe from my other class that we went to, we actually planned this together, and it was more his idea than anything.
Right. Yeah, he would have absolutely done that. So that's what I have for Idaho for
Fuck, Sarah,
college
that was a
murders.
fucking brutal one.
It is, yeah. I guess I do those a lot.
You
I
do.
did Jack the Ripper and
Talking about a morbid
Delphi.
fascination. Jesus.
Well, next week will be more fun.
Well, I fucking
Stay
hope
tuned
so.
for that. Well,
Man,
once in a while, you really gotta dive deep into
you
like
do.
one of these. I guess
You
I
do.
did the Dermans too with their head.
Yeah, yeah. I think the worst one I've done was Waco, and that was pretty tame compared to these.
Yeah. Well, I'll do the really graphic ones, and you do the government involved ones.
Yeah, the palate cleansing conspiracies. How about that?
Right. Yeah. Because I also did the Setagaya murders,
You
which
did.
was really bad too.
It was really bad.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah. There's a lot of bad stuff in the world.
There's a lot of bad shit in the world. There is a lot of bad shit. I mean, it makes for a good show, and it makes for, lessons learned and stuff like this, man. It's, check on your friends if you see some wild shit.
Yeah.
Pay attention to what's going on, and it's better to look like an idiot and calling the police for no reason than not, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But well, Sarah, that was a little bit of a rough one, but I enjoyed it. I learned something. I learned a whole lot. I'm about to go dive super deep into a bunch of this. I'm going to watch a bunch of YouTube on this after this. So
Yeah. I mean, I bet they'll release more too, but a lot of it's just, I mean, they took pictures of every single square inch of like what's under the cabinet, what's in the closet. Like a lot of it's like
random
just,
shit that doesn't matter.
yeah. But yeah, very sad.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the opposite of random shit that doesn't matter, thank you guys for hanging out with us. Check us out on all social media platforms. Check us out on Patreon, where you get some extra little perks. That'll be patreon.com/the Paranoid Perspective Podcast. Easiest and free way, as always, share this podcast with a friend. Give us a rating or review wherever you're listening to us. Check us out on the Speaker platform if you really want to help us out. And as always,
Remember, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not watching. See you next time on The Paranoid Perspective.